Imagine falling asleep to hide from a murderous Roman emperor, only to wake up nearly 200 years later to find the entire world had become Christian. It sounds like a movie, but it actually happened on July 27th. Stick around, because today we are uncovering 4 incredible, jaw-dropping Catholic events that all share this exact same date, including a miracle of bubbling blood and a saint who stared down the Nazis. Welcome back to the channel, friends! Every day on the Catholic calendar is packed with profound history, but July 27th is truly a powerhouse of faith, courage, and the miraculous. From ancient caves in Turkey to the darkest concentration camps of World War II, July 27th marks the feast days and monumental moments of some of the Church's most awe-inspiring heroes. Today, we are going to dive deep into 4 incredible Catholic events that happened on this day. We'll explore the miraculous healing of a pagan doctor, the legendary 7 sleepers of Ephesus, a brave pope who crushed early church heresies, and a modern-day Carmelite martyr who defied the Gestapo. You don't want to miss a second of this, so let's get right into it. Saint Pantaleon is one of the most revered martyrs of the early church and one of the 14 holy helpers, known specifically as the patron saint of physicians and those suffering from illnesses like tuberculosis. Born in the late 3rd century in Nicomedia, which is modern-day Turkey, Pantaleon was the son of a rich pagan father, Eustorgius, and a devout Christian mother, Saint Eubula. Although he was raised with Christian teachings, the allure of the world and his ambition pulled him away from the faith after his mother's death. He pursued medicine and became exceptionally skilled, eventually serving as the personal physician to the Roman Emperor Maximian. However, God had a greater plan for his life. A zealous and holy priest named Heresies crossed paths with the young doctor and gently guided him back to the Christian faith. Heresies taught him that while his medical skills were impressive, true healing could only come through Jesus Christ, the divine physician. Pantaleon's turning point came when he encountered a paralyzed man. Calling upon the name of Jesus, Pantaleon miraculously healed the man, cementing his reconversion to Christianity. Following this, he gave away his massive inheritance to the poor and treated patients completely free of charge, integrating spiritual healing with physical medicine. His tremendous success and charitable work sparked fierce jealousy among his pagan colleagues, who reported him to the emperor during the Diocletian persecutions. The emperor demanded that Pantaleon renounce his faith. When he refused, he was subjected to horrific tortures. According to tradition, his tormentors tried to burn him with torches, plunge him into liquid lead, and throw him to wild beasts, but the Lord miraculously protected him each time. Finally, the saint willingly accepted his martyrdom and was beheaded in the year 305. Because of his ultimate act of mercy in forgiving his executioners, he was given the name Pantaleon, meaning all-merciful. Today, a phial of his blood, kept in Constantinople, is said to bubble on his feast day. Saint Titus Brandsma was a Dutch Carmelite priest, mystic, journalist, and martyr who courageously stood against the evils of Nazi ideology during World War II. Born Anno Brandsma in 1881 on a dairy farm in the Friesland province of the Netherlands, he was raised in a deeply devout Catholic family. At the age of 17, he entered the Carmelite order, taking the name Titus in honor of his father. He was ordained a priest in 1905 and went on to earn a doctorate in philosophy in Rome. A brilliant academic, he became a professor and eventually the rector of the Catholic University of Nijmegen. Father Titus possessed a profound love for Carmelite mysticism, translating the works of St. Teresa of Avila and frequently lecturing on spiritual depth. However, it was his role as a journalist and an advisor to Catholic publications that ultimately led to his martyrdom. As the shadows of Nazism crept across Europe and Hitler's regime invaded the Netherlands in 1940, Father Titus recognized the severe threat to human dignity and religious freedom. The Gestapo quickly identified the small, frail friar as a dangerous man due to his vocal opposition to anti-Semitic laws and Nazi propaganda. When the Third Reich demanded that Catholic newspapers print their propaganda, Father Titus personally visited Catholic editors across the country instructing them to refuse these orders to maintain the integrity of the Catholic press. For this bold defiance, he was arrested in January 1942. He was eventually transferred to the notorious Dachau concentration camp, where thousands of clergy were imprisoned. Despite brutal beatings, starvation, and grueling forced labor, Father Titus remained a beacon of joyful hope. He shared his meager rations, heard confessions, and ministered to fellow prisoners. On July 26, 1942, he was martyred via a lethal injection, and his feast day is traditionally commemorated on July 27th. He was canonized in May 2022.
Saint Celestine I was a pivotal and courageous pope of the early Catholic Church who tirelessly defended the Orthodox faith during a time of immense theological turmoil and heresy. Born in the Roman region of Campania, he served as a highly respected Roman deacon before being unanimously elected to the papacy on September 10, 422, succeeding Pope Boniface I. During his 10-year pontificate, Pope Celestine I made monumental contributions to the theological integrity and missionary expansion of the Church, cementing his legacy as a staunch defender of the truth about Jesus Christ and the Blessed Virgin Mary. His reign was heavily defined by his vigorous battle against two dangerous heresies, Pelagianism and Nestorianism. Pelagianism was a false teaching that diminished the absolute necessity of God's divine grace for human salvation, suggesting that humanity could achieve spiritual perfection through sheer free will. To combat this in the British Isles, Celestine dispatched Saint Germanus of Auxerre to preach the true doctrine. Even more significantly, he firmly opposed the Patriarch Nestorius of Constantinople, who erroneously taught that Christ possessed two completely separate natures and denied that Mary could be called the Theotokos, or the Mother of God. Pope Celestine heavily supported St. Cyril of Alexandria and officially approved the decrees of the Council of Ephesus in 431, which condemned Nestorius and joyfully upheld Mary's title as the God-bearer. Beyond his doctrinal battles, Pope Celestine was deeply committed to the spread of the gospel. He is renowned for commissioning St. Palladius as the very first bishop to the Irish people, paving the way for the legendary missionary work of St. Patrick shortly thereafter. Known for his pastoral heart, he restored several basilicas in Rome and worked diligently to maintain unity among the bishops. He passed away on July 27, 432. Through his unwavering leadership, theological clarity, and missionary zeal, Saint Celestine I ensured that the foundational truths of Christianity remained strong. The Seven Sleepers of Ephesus represents one of the most fascinating and beloved early Christian accounts of martyrdom, divine preservation, and the resurrection of the body. According to the Roman martyrology, this extraordinary event centers around 7 noble young Christian men: Maximian, Malchus, Martinian, Dionysius, John, Serapinian, and Constantine. The story unfolds in the middle of the 3rd century, around the year 250 AD, during the brutal reign of the Roman Emperor Decius. Decius had traveled to Ephesus, located in modern-day Turkey, specifically to enforce his cruel edicts against Christians. When the 7 young men boldly refused to offer pagan sacrifices, they were given a temporary reprieve to reconsider their Christian faith. Instead of yielding to the emperor's demands, the youths gave away all their earthly possessions to the poor and retreated to a hidden cave on Mount Angelos. There, they devoted themselves completely to prayer, preparing their souls for the martyrdom they knew was imminent. Upon discovering their hiding place, the furious Emperor Decius ordered his soldiers to seal the mouth of the cave with massive boulders, intending to bury the young men alive. As the stones were rolled into place, the men fell into a miraculous, deep slumber ordered by God. Nearly 200 years passed. In the year 434, during the reign of the Christian Emperor Theodosius, a fierce theological debate had erupted concerning the bodily resurrection of the dead. During this time, a landowner unknowingly unsealed the cave to use it as a cattle stall. To his astonishment, the 7 youths awoke, looking entirely unchanged and believing they had only slept for a single night. When one went into the city to buy bread, he was stunned to see crosses on the churches and to hear the name of Jesus spoken freely. The local bishop and the emperor rushed to the cave, realizing God had used the sleepers to definitively prove the reality of the resurrection. The Roman martyrology commemorates them on July 27th.
And there you have it, 4 absolutely miraculous events that all took place on July 27. From ancient caves to the halls of the papacy and the darkest prisons of the 20th century, the Catholic Church's history is truly alive. Thank you so much for watching and journeying through history with me today. If you were inspired by these stories, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment down below telling me which of these 4 events shocked you the most. And don't forget to share this video with your family and friends so they can learn about these amazing saints too. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next video.